So match number 9, we go now over the World Cup qualifiers over in Asia with Japan and Iran already secured in the World Cup in 2026. But who will edge closer this coming match day? We'll take a look at that and much more next. That's right, folks. Back once again with another video. Today we take a look at match number 9. That's right, in their World Cup qualifiers in Asia. That's right, busy calendar up ahead. That's right, folks. Back once again with another video. Today we take a look at match number 9. That's right, over the World Cup qualifiers in Asia, with nations trying to secure their spot in the World Cup in 2026. Also on the line is a place in the next round of qualifying to see if they can prolong their World Cup qualifiers. We're talking about the likes of Qatar, Indonesia, of course. Can they get over the line? We'll take a look at that, of course, in a second. Big shout out to the members and the patrons. You know who you are. Again, if you're new, where have you been? Smash your subscribe and you want to subscribe for Blackburn Rovers, World Cup qualifiers, World Cup itself, 2026. That's right. Now, what we're going to do now, of course, is revisit the results from last time around. So sit tight, hold on, and let's get into it then, shall we, as we turn the clock back to those last matches way back in March. I think I did all right. Here are my predictions. My predictions are on the right. The real deal was on the left. Kyrgyzstan with a 3-1 win over Qatar. I went with a 1-0 win myself. Iran with a 2-2 draw over Uzbekistan. I went with a 2-1 win for Iran. Meanwhile, UAE picked up a 2-1 win over North Korea. I went with a draw. Maybe I didn't do that great. South Korea with a draw against Jordan. I went with a 2-0 win. Kuwait did lose to Oman, 1-0 win. I went with a draw. Palestine did beat Iraq 2-1. I went the other way. Japan with a 0-0 draw against Saudi Arabia. I went with a 4-2 win. Meanwhile, China 2-0 loss to Australia. I won close, bang on no money. And Indonesia did beat Bahrain 1-0. I went with the 2-1 win. So, my friends, this is what the table looks like right here right now heading into this coming match day. It does look pretty for Iran. They are there. Cannot be caught. They can technically be caught for top spot, but they have, of course, got enough points to secure themselves a top 2 berth. Top 2 guarantees you World Cup qualifiers. 3rd and 4th, you go through to the next round of qualifiers, which, of course, will go on and on and on and on. Meanwhile, kicking off forward, South Korea are also in command in Group B. They're not there yet. Still 6 points are on the offering here, as we've got 9 and 10 right around the corner. So South Korea, maybe what we're looking at here, they are 4 points clear. A win will do it for sure. A draw could do it this coming match day. Jordan also trying to get themselves through. Iraq kind of gone off the face of it a little bit and looking to bounce back and fast, but it's quite tight in Group B, as it is a little bit in Group C. Japan are there. They've qualified perfect, an unbeaten record so far, 20 points for them. Australia are close, very, very close. Saudi Arabia are there or thereabouts as well. So it's between those two for that runners-up spot. Indonesia could mathematically still squeak into that top 2, but realistically, they're looking at that top 4 to prolong their World Cup qualifying campaign as well. But they've got their own race with Bahrain and China on the horizon as well. So that is that, my friends. But let's get into the next round of games, which, of course, come at you thick and fast. So we are going to jump straight in the deep end with, of course, the top of the shop here, which is the UAE taking on Uzbekistan. Coming at you on the this is match number 9 on the 5th of June. This one's coming at you at the Al Nahyan Stadium, UAE. Top of the pops, not top of the pops right now, are they? Of course, they played each other 10 times, 2006, 4 wins apiece and 2 draws between the two sides. The United Arab Emirates, just 1 win though in the last 6 matches, taking on Uzbekistan, of course, who are 67% form for them right now, unbeaten in the last 4, just 1 defeat in the last 6. Now, like I said, they played 10 times since 2006. Meanwhile, the last time that these two sides played in the United Arab Emirates, it was a 1-0 win for the UAE back in November 2017. However, they also played each other this campaign in Uzbekistan. It was a 1-0 win for Uzbekistan back in October. UAE on the back of a win over North Korea, 2-1 win last time around. That was on the road. The last home match was against Oman, where they picked up a 1-1 draw way back in December 2024. That was probably in a Gulf Cup match. Meanwhile, Uzbekistan on the back of a 2-2 draw away to Iran. Of course, that was a big positive point on the road. In fact, they've been pretty solid in the last couple on the road as well. No odds on this one, so I have to go with my gut. My gut says I think UAE gets something on this one. 1-1 in the end. Uzbekistan are tricky and also trying to get themselves close to the line. Again, Uzbekistan looking good right now. They're 4 points clear. And a draw would just about get them over the line, I imagine. Next up, of course, is North Korea. They're taking on Kyrgyzstan at the Prince Fasil bin Farhad Stadium. North Korea all the way down there into, what are we looking at, 6th spot right now, with just 2 points for the campaign. They are already eliminated. 5 defeats on the spin up against Kyrgyzstan, who are also pretty much on the brink of elimination, but they could still squeak in the top 4, which of course could prolong the World Cup qualification campaign for at least another couple of matches. Now, they played each other just the one time. It was the reverse fixture, and it was a 1-0 win for Kyrgyzstan back in October 2024. The Kyrgyzstanis on the back of that 3-1 win at home to Qatar. Give them a big old win, that was. Meanwhile, Korea, the Democratic Republic of Korea, did lose to UAE last time around. It has been pretty grim stuff for them over the last few matches. In fact, I don't even know when the last win was. So it's grim stuff. They could get a point, though, against Kyrgyzstan on this one. But they're yet to get a win in this whole competition. I've gone with a 0-0 draw here, point apiece, which again is a bit of a dead rubber. I think Kyrgyzstan need to move mountains if they're going to get to that top 4. But right now, I think they're going to get the point, which again could leave them a chance still, depending on what else goes on, to qualify in, or at least prolong their qualification into the next round of qualification matches, which would be, what, the 4th round? Let's go to Qatar then, shall we, as they take on Iran. Of course, Iran, top of the pops, and of course they've qualified. Might take it easy as well on Qatar. Of course, at the Jasmine bin Hamid Stadium, Qatar, 33% form for them right now, just 1 win though in the last 6 up against Iran, unbeaten in at least the last 6, and they're looking fantastic, yet to taste defeat in this qualification phase over in Group A. They have played 13 times in 2006, 2 wins Qatar, 8 wins Iran. There's been 3 draws between the two sides. Last time around, over in Qatar, it was a 4-0 win for Iran way back in October 2023. Now, the last time they played in this qualification phase was in Iran. It was back in October. It was a 4-1 win for Iran as well. So Iran have actually scored 8 goals in the last 3 games, actually 10 goals in the last 3 games against Qatar. Qatar do have a win. They did pick up a win against Iran in the Asian Cup knockout stages back in Feb 2024. That was a one and only win in the last 6. Iran, though, on the back of that 2-2 draw against Uzbekistan, which secured their spot there. Qatar on the back of that 3-1 loss to Kyrgyzstan on the road. Qatar's last home match was a 5-1 win over North Korea. They're actually back-to-back games unbeaten at home. So take from that from what you will. Going to go with a tight one here. Going to go with a 1-0 win for Iran. They might have taken the foot off the brakes or the foot off the accelerator a little bit. But I do think they'll still have enough in the tank to go far against Qatar, which does rhyme. Let's go to the next one. Is Oman up against Jordan. That's coming at you also 5th of June. Now, this is over in Group B. Oman, of course, 67% form for them right now. Just 1 defeat in the last 6 up against Jordan. 50% form for them right now. Also 1 defeat in the last 6. They are the draw specialists. They picked up 4 draws in the last 6. They played each other 10 times in 2006. We got 2 wins Oman, 4 wins Jordan. There's been 4 draws between the two sides. Now, the last time that these two sides played in Oman, it was a 1-1 draw way back in October 2016. It didn't amount to much. It was a friendly. But they also played each other this campaign in Jordan for the World Cup qualifiers. It was back in October. It was a 4-0 win for Jordan. Jordan, though, on the back of a 1-1 draw against South Korea. That was on the road. That was the last away match. In fact, been pretty solid on the last couple on the road here. Back-to-back draws on the road. In fact, 3 draws competitively, I would say, on the spin for Jordan. Meanwhile, their opposition, Oman, last home match, I believe, we're rolling back here. I think it might have been last home match in the qualification phase was a 1-0 loss to Iraq. Of course, that was way back in November 2024. Goodness gracious me. Tough one to call this one. Oman haven't played many home games, of course. Jordan as well. Both sides trying to get themselves in that 2nd spot. A win for Jordan would pretty much put them en route for a World Cup spot. Gone with a 2-1 win, though. And man, to surprise us all and make a game for it, heading into that final game, which is match day number 10. Let's go to the next one. It is Kuwait. Palestine, the opposition, also in Group B. This match also takes place on the 5th of June. Kuwait currently find themselves bottom of the pile here with just 5 points, looking at that 4th place slot for them if they can get some results here, but they've just won once in the last 6 up against Palestine, who are also struggling with 6 points right now. Just 1 win the last 6. That 1 win was most recent, and we'll talk about that shortly. They played Kuwait 3 times in 2006. 2 wins Kuwait, nothing for Palestine. There's been 1 draw. Now, the last time that these two sides played in Kuwait, it was a 2-1 win, I believe, for Kuwait way back in December 2012. The reverse fixture this campaign in Palestine was a 2-2 draw way back in October. Palestine on the back of a 2-1 win at home to Iraq, of course. Kuwait's last match was at home to Oman, which they did lose, goodness gracious. The last win in this competition, Kuwait, they have not got a win in this competition. Palestine do have one victory in that competition. That was the most recent match against Iraq. So the two sides struggling for form, struggling for wins. A win for either side. You could say there's hope for them to get into that top 4 spot, but realistically, does look like it's very fine margin. Going with the 1-0 win for Kuwait to snatch it and take the point to the bag. Let's go to Iraq now, who are trying to get themselves back in contention. I'm against the South Korea side and yet to confirm their spot in 2026. Of course, a World Cup would not be complete without South Korea. Now, they have played 10 times in 2006, 2 wins Iraq, 6 wins Korea, 2 draws between the two sides. Iraq, though, without a win in the last 4. Up against Korea, who are unbeaten in the last 6, however, winless in the last 3. How do I mean winless? Well, I'll tell you in a second. Of course, last time that these two sides played was in Korea. It was the reverse fixture, 3-2 winners it was for Korea, way back in October 2024. Now, the last time they played in Iraq was a 1-0 win for Korea as well, way back in January 2024. The last victory for Iraq against Korea is, you got to stretch it back a little bit here. Where are we? I think the last clear-cut victory that I could say on regulation time was a 1-0 for Iraq way back in December 2006. Iraq on the back of a 2-1 loss to Palestine. They haven't won since they beat Yemen in the Gold Cup. The last win in this competition was 1-0 away win at Oman back in November. South Korea, though, on the back of 3 successive draws, drawing away to Palestine, at home to Oman, and at home to Jordan. Their last win, last away win, should we say, also was a 3-1 win away to Kuwait way back in November. So both sides looking for wins, desperate for wins to get over the line. But they have yet to taste defeat, have South Korea. I don't think they're going to lose this one either. Gone with a 2-2 draw, which again puts them in 17 points, depending on what goes on with the Jordan match. Of course, it leaves a lot to be spectated about heading into the final matches. Of course, Group C we go now as Japan are already qualified. They're going to Australia. That's right. The Socceroos also trying to secure their spot. That's coming out the Optus Arena. Australia, though, are unbeaten in at least the last 6 matches. 75% form for them right now. 1-3 and drew 3. Up against the Japanese, who are unbeaten in the last 6. They've won 4 and drawn the 2. Now, they played 14 times in 2006. 2 wins Australia, 7 wins Japan. There's been 5 draws between the two sides. Now, the last time they played in Australia was a 2-0 win for Japan way back in March 2022. The reverse fixture, a 1-1 draw in Japan back in October. The last victory for Japan against Australia. There's not been many. You've got to roll it back to, I don't even know. I think we're looking at 2009. Australia won back in June 2009. It was a World Cup qualifier, and it was in Australia. I'm just trying to see if there's any other victories there. Not many. So Japan have the edge in this game, but if there's any time, it's this one, because the Japanese are there. Australia trying to secure the spot. It's in Australia. A lot of things are setting themselves up. In fact, Australia look pretty good right now. They have scored 9 goals in the last 3 games combined up against the Japanese, who have only conceded the 1 goal in the last 4 matches up against China, of course. So back-to-back clean sheets for them heading into this. The bookies, though, I do think I have odds on this one, actually. Bookies will give it to Japan, but only slightly. I think the Soccerinos will take full advantage that the Japanese will play a bit of a fringe squad here. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for Australia. Gives them a boost and probably looks set to secure a spot in the World Cup itself. But of course, Saudi Arabia could make it a bit of an argument if they beat Bahrain, or with a good, convincing scoreline. Let's go to that one in a minute. Let's go to Indonesia. They're going to be taking on China. Of course, Indonesia, my boys, right here, right now, on June the 5th. Coming out to the Gelora Bung Karno Sports Arena. Indonesia up against China. They played 3 times in 2013. They've yet to win Indonesia in those recent 3 matches, stretching back to 2013. The Chinese, though, 3 defeats on the spin up against Indonesia. Just 1 win in the last 5, of course. Now, the last time they played in Indonesia, it was a 1-1 draw way back in October 2013. So they are unbeaten against them at Indonesia at least the last 10, 12 years. However, the reverse fixture, 2-1 win it was for China in China back in October. Now, a win for Indonesia will put them pretty much in the driving seat for at least a prolonged World Cup qualifiers. It will go into September, where they'll head into the 4th round, where they're looking at one of the spots from that point of view. But of course, the defeat would pretty much eliminate them, I would imagine, because China would then actually, it would be tight, because Indonesia's next match is against Japan, and I don't see that. I think it's in Japan as well, so I don't anticipate a win there. So they have to win this game. Now, Bahrain was the last opponent for Indonesia, which of course Indonesia won. China did lose to Australia 2-0 last round. They've only scored 1 goal in the last 3. So the time is now for Indonesia. They need to win this game. If they win this game, they are in a cracking position to qualify for at least the prolonged qualification phase. I've gone with it, guys. I've gone with a 2-0 win. Stick them a neck out here for Indonesia. Let's go, boys. Let's get the win. Secure our spot at least to the next round. Maybe even put a bit of pressure under the likes of Australia and Saudi Arabia, depending on what goes on in their match. And of course, wrapping it all up, it's Bahrain, it's Saudi Arabia. It's coming at you over in the Bahrain National Stadium. Bahrain, of course, 50% form for them right now. They've won 3 and lost 3 over the last 6. Up against the Saudis, just 1 defeat in the last 5 for them, and have played Bahrain 11 times since 2007. 4 wins Bahrain, 3 wins Saudi Arabia. There's been 4 draws. The last time they played in Bahrain, it was a 1-0 win for Bahrain. In fact, tell a lie. Let's roll that back a little bit. The last time they played, I believe it was a 0-0 draw way back in August 2019. They have played in some Gulf Cups and stuff like that. The venues of that, of course, is unknown at this stage. The reverse fixture this campaign was also a 0-0 draw. That was in Saudi Arabia back in October. That's when the Saudis were going through some sort of identity crisis. They didn't know who they were. Coming into this, though, Bahrain on the back of that 1-0 loss to Indonesia. Back-to-back away losses for them. Up against the Saudis, have only scored 1 goal in the last 2. And that was against China in a 1-0 win. This was a difficult one here. Of course, Saudi Arabia also got Gold Cup preparations on the background. But of course, prioritising this. And I think they'll get at least a point on the line. Bahrain are tricky at home. And that, my friends, will complete my predictions for match number 9. We'll go again for match number 10. All on the kitchen sink job for some of these nations. But some will, of course, have secured their spot in the World Cup spot in 2026. But that's it. Until then, subscribe, smash the like, catch you later. Until then, we're done.